All right, welcome to the live stream. I am here with Bobby, my bamboo ball python, just hanging out here on a Saturday. And this week I was gonna make some long form videos. And as a matter of fact, on the last live stream, I told people, yeah, I wanted to make a video on Monday. And then I got really sick and I was under the weather for like 3 days. And then when I started finally recovering, I actually went back to, I was actually starting to put together a video. And the wind came up and blew my solar panels down again, broke a few panels, and I decided to revamp the whole thing. So it took me pretty much the rest of the week to actually do my whole solar panel thing. Looks like we have a few people in the house. What is up? What is up? Evie Zapata, what's up? Nice snake you got there on your picture. World of Reptiles, what's up, brother? I am doing good, recovered from my illness. I was kind of sick earlier this week. Oh man, I was down for the count for about 3 days. Shirley Bobeda, what's up? It's been a long time. It seems like I was actually putting together this video of all the allelic combinations in all of ball pythons, and it's a lot of information. I kept going down the rabbit hole this way and that way. I was like, I can't do an hour-long video on this. I gotta kind of cut it back. So that's what I've been working on. I started working on that, and then I had the whole solar panel fail and kind of rebuilt my whole solar panel array, which was crazy. I don't know if you watched I did a video on emergency backup power and all my supplies and everything with the solar panels, the solar generator, and all of that. And one of the big things was my solar panels kept falling over from the wind. So I put down some stakes and tied them to the stakes with some really strong string. And it was actually the pull cord for like a lawnmower. Came in a big spool, and I thought for sure that was gonna like really hold up really well. And come to find out, one of the strings broke from really strong wind. They actually shut the power off this week for a day because the wind was so strong. That's another reason I was kind of down for the count. Trying to scramble with all my solar stuff and put all that together. So yeah, that was crazy. Glad I'm feeling better. Yes, I am feeling better. Colts Blue, what's up? I know you're looking for Monarch, Rhinos Royals out of Valparaiso, Indiana. Had several available. I saw them at a show today and told them you were looking, so you may be reaching out. Cool. Yeah, I'm not really looking to buy right now, so I'm actually selling a bunch of snakes. I sold a whole bunch of snakes this week. And shipped 2 of them out, shipped out the big spider. Someone actually bought that really huge spider male. If you actually go back on the video where I'm showing all my snakes, and most of them are for sale. I had that really big monster spider. Sold that one. I sold the Coral Glow 100% het pied that I bought early on. It was like one of my very first ball pythons. And I shipped that one out this week. And then today in the parking lot, just down the street, down at the gas station, I met another guy, and I sold the pastel Coral Glow, that really beautiful, and they had the really bright yellows. I was actually surprised no one actually bought that before now. He just randomly reached out and bought that snake. And I pulled it out in the sunlight. I'd never seen it in the sunlight, and that thing was really glowing. It was just really crazy. All right, let's see. Glad you're feeling better. Recently got into the Candino project. Cool. Yeah, I was doing, speaking of that, the Monarch comment right here, I was doing allelic combinations, and I heard rumors that Monarch may be allelic with Caramel Albino. No, Ultramel. Monarch and Ultramel may be allelic. I just kind of heard rumors about that. Haven't seen anything confirmed. As a matter of fact, I haven't gone over to Morphmarket to verify that, which would be kind of cool. If you actually go over to Morphmarket, and if you're looking for allelic combinations and you're wondering if something's allelic, you can go over to Morphmarket. I can actually show you here. Let's see. If I share my screen, I can share with Morphmarket. We can come over here to Morphmarket, hit the calculator, pythons, ball pythons. Oh no, I lost Bobby. I lost Bobby in the chair. What are you doing? Oh no. What are you doing, snake? There's like a little shelf underneath my chair, and he's like crawling in the shelf. I have never seen him do that before. All right, so I'm just kind of curious about this because I'm getting ready to do that allelic combination. So you can actually do Het Monarch and Het Ultramel. And check it out. This is not working right. This is not working right, which is weird. It shouldn't give me both hets in one snake. Pairing with the normal. Let's see. Did they change it? No. I don't know what's going on. My Gmail doesn't work. The calculator doesn't work over here. I'm like, what is going on? All right, so that was a fail. That was a fail. All right, something's going on with the Morphmarket calculator. It's not working. It should have gave you if it was allelic, you get 50% Het Ultramel, 50% Het Monarch. That's the way it should have been. And then if it wasn't allelic, you could actually reproduce the parents, you get the double het, and you would get normals too. So I don't know what's going on. There's so many glitches on multiple levels here. It's crazy. All right, let's see. Do I have any bamboos available? No, unfortunately I don't. I just separated a pair today. I was pairing my, my bamboo calico pinstripe male with my lesser triple het for albino pied and clown. So that should be an interesting combination. Plan on doing genetic testing on all those offspring, so that'll be pretty awesome. Can you comment on the Taronja gene? I have never heard of that. As a matter of fact, I'm going to add that to my list to look into. Taronja. Taronja. Tronja. I have never heard of that. It's interesting. A lot of these genes, they come out and, you know, there's like maybe one or two of them on Morphmarket. As a matter of fact, we can come over here on Morphmarket. Let me just check real quick. See if there's anything over here. There is Taronja on Morphmarket. One of them. Let me change the location. All regions. Banana Taronja. Yeah, it's kind of hard when there's only one snake on Morphmarket. It's hard to know kind of the potential. Because unless you see it in a lot of combinations, you don't really know the potential of a certain gene. And there's a lot of new genes that come out, especially if you look over in the UK. There's a lot of stuff coming out that's not over here in the United States. So a lot of times it takes a while before that stuff comes out, before I can actually do a video on it. Pinball Conspiracy, what's up? A few streams ago I talked about how 2 of my ball pythons were striking, but both of them ate. This week they're back to normal. Yeah, that is interesting. So I've actually had some that'll strike out of aggression. I got to the point where when I'm feeding ball pythons, what I'll actually do is I'll slide the tub open a little bit, and then I'll like throw the rodent in there and then close the tub just big enough to where I can kind of wiggle the tail of the rodent in the tub. And that way it seems like with some of those that strike instead of eating, what's actually happening is the ball python becomes afraid of the person feeding, and sometimes they'll, like, you can tell they're like looking at you in the eye, because sometimes their eye will kind of glisten a little bit, and if it actually glistens and then they strike, that a lot of times I think what that means is that they're afraid of the person that's feeding the ball python. So, and I think that's why a lot of times they strike instead of feed. So what I've actually done is I just put the rodent in there and then close the tub so they can't see me. And then when I kind of wiggle the tail a little bit and wiggle the rodent, then it kind of gives them that barrier between you and the ball python, so they don't actually do that. But I think that's kind of interesting. As a matter of fact, a lot of the ball pythons that strike and don't eat, I find that it's from ball pythons that hadn't been handled a lot. So if you find a ball python like that and you handle them a lot more, you can actually tame them down and kind of break them out of that habit of striking and not eating. And then sometimes they'll actually grab the rodent and they won't eat it. Pretty rare for ball pythons, but with my spider that would happen a lot. And I think a lot of times either the rodent's maybe too cool or it's too big for the ball python. So sometimes that can happen. And I know on my spider, I think it was because he had a little injury, a previous injury on the tip of his mouth, like right on his nose. He had a little injury at one point, and it looked like it completely healed up, but it still seems like it kind of interfered with his feeding, to where he'd grab a rodent, especially the medium rats. He would grab them, and then maybe 50% of the time he wouldn't eat them, which is kind of crazy. And I actually transitioned to like a combination of the medium rats and then the frozen thawed mice. And the XL white mice, he would eat them every single time. And then, you know, if he kept, you know, refusing the grabbing and not eating the medium rats, then I would go with the extra large mice. So that's kind of how I kept them eating and kept the weight on them too. But yeah, that's great that they're back to normal. Sometimes they kind of freak out like that. I got the male coral. He's so beautiful. Nice. Awesome. That is awesome. Yeah, I shipped out so many snakes. I can't believe it. I actually sold my reticulated python, the one, fettuccine, that was up for sale for, I think it was like 2 or 3 weeks that he was up for sale. I actually put him on sale, brought the price down a little bit, and it sold right away. I brought it down a little bit. And some guy at a pet store actually bought that reticulated python, which I thought was interesting. I don't know if he's going to flip it or if he's going to keep it as a pet. But I have, I think I have 12 more reticulated python babies. So I'll probably be posting a couple of those. Maybe a male and a female pair I'll actually post here sometime this week, which would be pretty cool. Prevail Pythons, what's up? I am making a DIY wood snake rack. Do you have any tips? I've never made a wooden snake rack. Yeah, I've seen a lot of people do it. I've seen some people, what they'll actually do is they'll use like totes with locking lids, and then they'll drill holes in the totes and then slide those into like a bookcase shelving unit kind of a thing and kind of just do it that way. You can probably do like an open tub, but if you slid it up against the wood, I would imagine you might risk some mold getting on the wood. So if you had like an open top tub right against wood, kind of like a snake rack, like an ARS racking system. And then once you get that mold, I'd think it'd be hard to get rid of on a setup like that, especially if you got moisture up in the wood with open top tubs. You could potentially get warping of the shelving unit. So I would probably suggest going with something like just like a heat strip on the back, and then use a completely enclosed tote, and then just maybe drill a few holes and see how the humidity is, and then drill a few more and a few more until they kind of dial it in to where they have enough ventilation, but it keeps some of the humidity in the tub to where you're not like steaming up the inside of the tub. So I know in these ARS racks, you slide the tub in, and then like on the front section of the metal, right on top of the tub, there's like maybe 6 inches that has a whole bunch of holes for ventilation right on top. So that's kind of how they're set up. So if you're doing like an enclosed tub in a rack system like that, I'd probably maybe on the upper sides of the front have some holes up in there too. And drilling holes into like a Tupperware tub, you have to really be careful because you can crack the totes too. What I would actually do is I'd probably, if you're drilling holes in plastic, I would take a couple boards and then clamp them to the plastic and then drill right through the board, like the front board and the back board with the plastic in the middle. And that'd probably prevent you from cracking the plastic. Or you can do, I've seen some people use like a soldering iron and kind of melt holes into tubs too. So that's another way you can do it. Do you use just wood, hard to clean and kind of rot? Use melamine. Yeah, so yeah, there's different ways you can do it. I mean, if you had like open tubs, you could probably, even with an open tub, you could probably put like some kind of a plastic sheeting underneath the shelf to where the moisture wouldn't get up into the wood. But yeah, make sure it's sturdy. You don't want a wobbly snake rack, that's for sure. Don't use wood. Yeah, I've seen people use wood with the totes and the holes, and they haven't had any problems. They've been doing that for many years. It's a cheap way to go. Let's see. I am using melamine. Yeah, it depends on if you have a cheap source of wood too, and what your budget is. So if you want to do it on a budget and you have a cheap source of wood, you can go that route too. Smiley Heart Exotics, what's up? Welcome to the live stream. Let's see, it's a 6T rack for adult female ball pythons. Oh, so it's like a 6 level, huh? That's interesting. Chris, what's up? Don't forget to smash that like button. Thank you, Smiley Heart Exotics. I have a bit of me making it on my white, on my own, on YouTube. Not sure what that was, but yeah, I've actually seen quite a few people. Another thing you can do is, I mean, if you want to build a rack, that's one way you can go, but you can actually look for like used racks. I think maybe Morphmarket may have, I'm not sure if they have a place for equipment over on Morphmarket. I thought for sure by now they would. like an equipment, like racks and cages and stuff, but looking over here on Morphmarket, it doesn't look like there's actually anything over here. Let's see, if you go to the main page, look at all the categories. It doesn't look like there's any equipment section, which is interesting. Because I know there's a really high demand for like used ARS caging, and sometimes the ARS caging, even the used stuff, can go for quite a bit of money. As a matter of fact, when I sold all my ARS racks, I was selling them for half price, like half of retail, the current retail. I was actually buying them for much less back in the day. And then all these years later, when I sold some of those racks, like the rodent racks and the mouse racks and stuff like that, I was selling them for 50% of today's retail, which was just a little more than I paid for them. So if you actually buy some of these high-end racks, I mean, you can use them for 20 years and still get your money back out of them. There's no problem at all. Lots and lots of people are looking for racks. So as a matter of fact, over on Morphmarket, if you, I have seen some racks over there, but they're selling them with the whole collection. If you actually go to the ball pythons and sort by the most genes, a lot of times the most genes will actually be the genes in someone's collection, and they're selling the whole collection and the racks and everything too. So that'd be a good way to actually to get into some cheap equipment, some high-end cheap equipment, if you don't want to build it. Vid and YouTube. Oh yeah. So yes, yeah. So yeah, if you want to make a snake rack and make a video out of it, maybe you'll make enough from the video to pay for the snake rack. that'd be a cool way to go too. Let's see. Bobby's pulling my mic all over. I put my my windscreen on. I was kind of listening back to some of that last live stream, and it seemed like oh, Bobby's getting me all dirty, and it seemed like my mic was kind of popping, so I put the windscreen on it. All right, let's see. Buying a rack to start breeding for the first time. Nice. That's always exciting. The most exciting thing is to get a whole rack full of empty tubs, and then you're just like obsessed with going over to Morphmarket and all the different places looking for different snakes and different projects to get into. Yeah, that is a pretty exciting time to start out at the very beginning. Chanel, another one, yeah. Yeah, it's been, as a matter of fact, I was hoping to put out 5 videos this week, and I didn't put out any because I was really sick earlier in the week, and then I was working on my backup solar power, which crashed from another windstorm, and I completely disassembled it. And if you actually go back and look at the video where I made that, I actually put the solar panels up on this wooden stand that was like up off the ground. And it was just too wobbly, and it was catching the wind too much. So what I actually did is I took the legs off and I sunk the whole thing down to the ground, and put it on cinder blocks, and then put sandbags all around it. So let me tell you, I don't think the wind's blowing it over again. So hopefully I got that problem solved. What are my thoughts on power feeding? Well, good question. So I'd say with ball pythons are kind of hard to power feed because they're kind of picky eaters in the first place. So a lot of my snakes, when I feed them like a rodent, they'll like just eat one rodent, and then a lot of times, sometimes I can follow up with the second rodent, but sometimes I can't. Sometimes they'll just refuse it. But if you have like a reticulated python, they will power feed. They will eat every day, almost as much as you can feed them. It's kind of crazy because with retics, you know, you feed them a rodent and they'll have like a big bulge in their stomach, and the next day that bulge is completely gone. Whereas with a ball pythons I think have a lower metabolism, to where, you know, if you have a really full ball python that has a really big meal inside, he'll stay fat for quite a few days before he can do it again. But with hatchlings, you could probably feed them more often. I've seen people feed hatchlings like 2 times a week or 3 times a week. But with retics, you could feed probably 3 times a day, and they will just plow it down, and they will get really big really fast too. So I think power feeding depends on what size rodents. I probably wouldn't go more than, depends on what size rodent and how big the snake is, but I probably wouldn't feed more than twice a week on a ball python. The other thing is if you feed a snake too much, I would think it could potentially kill the snake from overeating. You always see those stories of, you know, a snake trying to eat like a full-size pig or something like that. You know, the really big anacondas and stuff like that. And sometimes it'll actually kill the snake if you do that. So I'd be really careful not stretching out the stomach of your ball python with something like that. Let's see, Odie Coffee, what's up? Hey, went on a social media hiatus, but we're back now. Nice. Welcome back. Let's see, Duffman, what's up? Do I prefer Herpstat or Vivarium? Well, I pretty much have all Herpstats in my collection. I don't have any Vivariums just because, like I said, way back when, you know, like 10 years ago, they seemed really popular. They seem really high rated over on Amazon. That's where I picked them up, over on Amazon. And don't really have any preference, don't really have experience with the Vivarium to really compare one to the other. Let's see, Prevail Pythons. I only have 83 subs. I remember when I had 83 subs. Yeah, that was a long time ago. It takes a long time and a lot of videos. When I first started, I was actually posting every single day, and I was just doing like a daily vlog. That's a really good way to grow, and just do videos of you like you know, making sourdough bread or cooking, or you know, just do random stuff like fixing your automobile, or you know, for me, I was doing videos on my cows and my ducks and my snakes, and doing a whole bunch of stuff. And some of those non-snake related videos actually really took off. As a matter of fact, I have some that are really bad quality, that are really grainy, really, you know, subpar as far as the video and the voice and everything. And they've taken off, and they've done really well on my channel. So sometimes it helps, you know, if you're just starting out and you just have a few subs, to just start doing daily videos. No editing, nothing at all. Just grab your camera or your phone or whatever you're using, and just, you know, just get used to cranking them out, and maybe make a thumbnail, just do a quick thumbnail for those videos, and just kind of do them on like a certain topic. And that's a great way to grow, because I've seen people doing like, you know, like one video a week or one video a month, and let me tell you, it takes a long time doing. If you actually figure, you know, if I get like, say for example, if you have a channel that you get like, on average, say you get 200 views per video, if you put out, you know, 5 videos a week, that's 1,000 views in a week versus just 200 views in a week. So you're like, every time you put out a video, as a matter of fact, I was like obsessed over that, the views and trying to get to 1,000 subscribers. And at one point I went to 3 videos a day, because if you go to 3 videos a day, it doesn't quite triple your views doing 3 a day versus doing 1 a day, but it almost does. And it's like, you can only do so many videos in a day, but let me tell you, it can really boost your channel if you start cranking out a lot of videos. Picture Perfect Pythons, how's it going? All right, so I produced my first sables. I do like the potential of the gene, but I think the neurological problem is worse than spiders. I feel it's hit or miss. Yeah, it can be in some genes. So I know spot nose is really big, and spot nose is in the spider complex. So yeah, so you have to really be careful of anything in the spider complex. I actually did that big video with all the genes in the spider complex, and I tried to figure out the potential for the head wobble and the lethality of some of the combinations. And yeah, it is hit or miss. That is unfortunate. You really can't plan it. I'm not monetized. Yeah. So yeah, to be monetized, you need 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 watch hours in the last 12 months. As a matter of fact, I have one channel that I have almost 3,000 subscribers, and I'm just not getting the views over there. It's my butterfly knife channel. It's called Balisong Butterfly. And the reason I made that channel is because I saw another guy, and he only had, I can't remember how many videos. He only had like maybe 40 or 50 videos, and he had like 50,000 subscribers, and he was getting crazy views on that channel. So I decided, yeah, I want to start doing some butterfly knife videos. And I think I only produced, I think I only have like 20 videos on that channel or something. And I've been getting a lot of views, but it's been spread out over a long time. And I'm just not getting the 4,000 views in the 4,000 hours of watch time in 12 months. So I'm kind of stuck on that channel. So yeah, you need both, unfortunately. It is hard to get monetized. All right, Warren's World of Reptiles. We actually just bought a new shed, and we're in the process of insulating and drywalling it out. Gonna move the snakes out of the house. The racks have taken over. I thought about that at one point, kind of like building out my barn, because I actually have a 3-stall barn in the back, and kind of building that out to raise rodents or snakes or something like that. Yeah, the only problem with the shed up here in the mountains especially is you'd be spending most of your money on heating the shed. you'd probably spend more money in heating an outdoor shed than you would for example, like renting an office space or something like that. You could probably rent a little office space somewhere and just fill it up with snakes and racks. Keep the door closed and the windows blacked out so nobody knows what's going on in there. But yeah, you can get a lot of racks in no time, and it can kind of take over your house, that's for sure. Casper Volkos, what's up? You had mentioned maybe doing a video on that gene. Yeah. Yeah, so I have, which one was that? That was the sable. I'm not sure if I did the sable or not. Let me look real quick here. I think I did the sable. Let's see. Maybe I haven't. Wow, that's interesting. I don't think I have. All right, I'm going to put that on my list. I thought for sure I did the sable. All right, Bobby is on my microphone. He is on my microphone. Bobby's a little squirrely today, getting crazy. All right, let's see. There's still a lot to be done with Sable, but I think I'm going to step away from the project. I guess that's why not much has been done with it. Yeah, so it's interesting. A lot of those genes, a lot of people kind of haven't worked on them a lot, and people get out of them because a lot hasn't been done with them. And then all of a sudden, one of the big breeders will pick it up like the lace gene. It was kind of like the Sable, where a lot of people didn't really understand what the gene did and didn't understand the potential of what it actually did. But that's what you really need, is a big breeder to pick up one of those genes, and one of those little known genes that a lot of people don't really work with, don't really understand, and then sometimes they can really take off. So that's another thing. Let's see, does Kevin McCurley find that he doesn't produce many of them anymore either, but it's a cool super form? I'll have to check that out. What are my thoughts on Sable? HRA Sable, only 2 I ever think. Yeah, it's interesting, the Sable. We can go over to Morphmarket, see how many Sables have been over here. 54 Sables that are for sale. If we go for any, only 729 Sables. So yeah, not that popular over on Morphmarket either. So it takes a year to get monetized? No, no, it does not take a year to get, well, yeah, it doesn't take a year to get monetized. It takes 4,000 watch hours and 1,000 subscribers. So if you can get 4,000 watch hours in the first month, then you can get monetized. And I've actually seen people do it, just kind of a random, crazy video. they just, sometimes people get that's just dumb luck. Sometimes they'll just be randomly doing videos, and the first 4 or 5 videos, they'll hit a topic that just goes viral. And sometimes they'll get like thousands of subscribers and like more than 4,000 watch hours. And then the next month, they can actually get monetized. I've seen people do it in like 3 months, which is kind of crazy. But it's pretty unusual, I'd say, for people to do that. As a matter of fact, I was just talking to someone who's starting YouTube, and he was doing this random videos, and he did a shotgun video about this really unique shotgun that something about the barrel was like different than any other shotgun, and he named the video "The Most Dangerous Shotgun in the World" or something like that. And to his surprise, it blew up, and he's like freaking out. He's like, "What did I do?" He's trying to figure out how to get monetized and all this. Just one random video. I don't know if he got 4,000 watch hours on it, but he was getting massive views on that video. It was really short though. It was kind of crazy. Let's see, Casper, do I have a Facebook page? I've been looking to get a hold of you aside from YouTube. There's a pretty controversial topic I've been wanting to run by you. Potential project revolved around it. Yeah, the best way to do it is just to ask about one of my snakes over on Morphmarket. A lot of people have been doing that. Just random questions. As long as it doesn't get too overwhelming to where I'm not like, you know, getting like thousands of comments over there that I can't keep up with, but it's just been a few. So you can ask me something over there. But I actually had a Facebook page and it just completely blew up and got out of control. I think you can have like 5,000 friends on Facebook or something, and within 3 weeks I maxed out the friends, like 5,000 friends, and nobody else could be my friend over on Facebook. It was too much to actually keep track of. It was, you know, I couldn't even answer comments. There was just too many people over there. It was kind of crazy. Just recently I reactivated my Facebook page just because I wanted to see if there was any ball pythons over on Facebook Marketplace, kind of see what people are selling over there, like the snake racks and stuff like that, and the mouse breeding stuff. But I don't really do Facebook or Instagram or anything like that. I'm pretty much just here on YouTube. Trying to get to the point where I'm doing YouTube videos at least 6 days a week. So, you know, doing the YouTube videos 6 days a week and then keeping up with all the comments and everything. It's a lot of work. It doesn't really leave time for anything else. And I think a lot of people get kind of too spread out. You know, a lot of people are trying to get monetized on YouTube, but they're actually going over to Facebook and Instagram and X and all these different platforms, and kind of spreads them too thin where they can't really focus on one platform. So that's another thing that I've seen a lot. Lace blackback, not sable. Oh, I have not done lace blackback. Okay. Lace blackback. Gene. I'm putting that on the list. I don't know if I'll get to it, but I'll put it on the list. There's a lot of genes that have been around for a long time that a lot of people aren't working with, like the lace blackback. You don't hear that a lot. It's just been kind of kicking around in the background, but yeah, that's another one to keep an eye on. I'll have to do some research on that one. And I usually do a video if I can really understand the gene. Sometimes it's hard to understand. Sometimes the genes are so subtle. If I can't see an effect and can't really explain the effect in a video, then a lot of times I'll skip over the genes. So I'll have to definitely check that one out. And it seems like lately, you know, going back, you know, it used to be like in the day there was, you know, maybe like 20 lace blackbacks over on Morphmarket and I couldn't understand it. But now that, you know, a lot of these genes have really matured and a lot of people have produced a lot of combinations, and there's a lot more information out there too. So I could probably do a video on that one, hopefully. Keep looking at Gorilla on Morphmarket. Yeah. I have that one on my list too. Gorilla is kind of a new gene. There's not a whole lot of combinations that have been made with the Gorilla yet, so I'm kind of waiting on that one to see if that one will actually pop. Green pastel. I have not done green pastel. I can tell you that right now. Green pastel. My list is getting longer. I think I have 3 months of video topics here, at least. Yeah. Let's see. I'm not sure about that one. It's kind of crazy. Yeah. So let's see. We've been going for 38 minutes, 41 people on the live. All right. I think we got everything rolling here. I think I might put Bobby away and grab another snake. Maybe I'll grab that little white snake, because Bobby is still going crazy a little bit. Bobby is a big boy. He is really long. He doesn't want to go in his tub. All right, I'm going to pull out Cypher. What's up, Cypher? How's it going? Boy, This one almost looks like he's ready for a rat. This one is my Bamboo Lesser Possible Calico 100% Het Desert Ghost. Bamboo Lesser is blue-eyed leucistic. Has a little kink in the neck, so he's kind of my backup mascot here on YouTube. He does pretty good on my shoulder here. Doesn't really freak out that much usually. See if I can get him off my mic here. All right, let's see. I'm working with the peach gene. I have not done the peach, I can tell you that. So, yeah, the hard part with some of these genes is if you start producing them, and there's not a lot of videos out there where people can understand it, then it's kind of a hard sell, because people are picking up a gene and they don't really understand it, or they'll pick up a snake that has that gene in it along with maybe some other genes that they want to work with, and they just kind of add it to their collection without really understanding the gene too. So that's interesting way to go. Hey, Cypher. Cypher is a good little boy. He's on my mic again. trying to muffle me out. He's kind of peeking around my head. What are you doing? What's up, PetSmart? Hey, let's see. Poor Bobby, yeah. Bobby's just getting too big. He's like super heavy on my shoulders. And then once he gets squirrely, and if he chokes me out, like this snake's trying to choke me out, Bobby will like take my breath away. That's kind of crazy because he's so big. Mr. Crookneck, he is a crookneck. Mystic Mountain Moore says, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe and share and comment. Whew. All right, this snake's kind of getting a little... This snake almost looked like it wanted to take a rodent. It hasn't eaten for a while, so... This is definitely a stunning snake for sure. Yeah. All right, let's see. Just watched the video with the corn snake you bought. Yeah, I was watching that video too, as a matter of fact, which is weird. I was going back through some of my older videos and... saw my old corn snake and brought it to a reptile show. Had a big plexiglass enclosure that I got with one of my ball pythons, and I had my random snakes in there that I picked up. Had a king snake, and I sold the king snake, and then the corn snake. I think when I actually sold that corn snake, I sold the plexiglass enclosure with the corn snake. So it was kind of a package deal. But yeah, I did have that. I did sell that corn snake. That thing was probably the biggest corn snake that I've ever seen. He is a really beautiful corn snake. Terrible TCM, what's up? Love a Lucy. Yeah. Everyone's favorite snake is the white snake, especially at the reptile shows, that's for sure. Charles Hamby, what's up? Bobby is a big, beautiful boy. He is, and he is... let's see, he was born in 2013, so he's pretty old now. Yeah, pretty old bamboo. Although I have heard that bamboos can live like, or ball pythons in general can actually live for like 60 years, so that's kind of crazy. That is really crazy. I need some merchandise that says, that's kind of crazy. Yeah, all my favorite sayings. That's kind of crazy. Yeah, I need to get some better merchandise. Right now I just have some stuff over on Teespring. I should go over to Teespring and see if any of that's sold lately. I don't know if any of it's sold, but yeah, it would be nice to get some dedicated merchandise. Something like high quality stuff. Let's see. You took out Cypher, now it seems he wants to take you out. Yeah, it seems like Cypher gets a little squirrely when I first take him out, but it seems like he calms down. And then at a certain point, he just kind of goes to sleep. I'm hoping that'll happen this time, but you never know. It's getting a little squirrely. The oldest ball python that I've interacted with, boy, I think the oldest one wasn't much older than Bobby. I think it was like maybe a 15-year-old ball python. So that's kind of the oldest. But it's interesting though, if you look at some of these, some of the like the old breeders that have been breeding for a long time, it's like you never see them, you know, throwing out, you know, dead snakes. You never hear about, you know, people losing ball pythons from old age. It's pretty amazing. Like if you have rats, you know what I'm talking about, because you know, for a while I had rats and I was like, I'm not killing any more rats. I'm tired of killing rats. I'm gonna keep some of these old breeders as pets. And then a year or two later, you're throwing out all your dead rats because they've all died of old age. And I have never seen a ball python die from old age, or, you know, people like having a problem with it, you know, because if they only lived like a dog, like 7 or 14 years, you would think a lot of the breeders would be losing a lot of snakes from old age, but you just don't see it. They just keep going. Prevail pythons, or fire clown, yellow belly, het hypo. Yeah, that sounds like an awesome combo. Fire and yellow belly, that's bright when you add it to clown. Het hypo, and the hypo will actually brighten it even more, just one copy of the gene, so that's pretty awesome. Mystic Mount Morris, hope everyone's having a great day. It's actually really warm up here in the mountains. It was in the 50s today, which is pretty awesome. Do all the Lucy's have pattern under black light? No, they actually don't. I actually did a video on the different patterns under black light and showed all my snakes under black light, which was pretty interesting. And sometimes you can see it under there and sometimes you can't. Depends on what genes are in there. So I would say if you probably had something like Phantom or Mystic or Special in an all-white snake, you can actually, as a matter of fact, I was going to do that video too, probably this week. I was going to show all the different color variations in the blue-eyed leucistic complex, going from all the way from the pure white snake, all the way from, you know, where you can barely see a little bit of pattern to a little bit more pattern, and then on some of them, they don't even look like blue-eyed leucies, even though they have 2 genes in the blue-eyed leucistic complex in the snake. And I would say, it seemed like from kind of my research from doing that video, it seems like if you have Mystic, Phantom, or Special, a lot of times you'll actually see a slight pattern. Even if you mix it in with lesser or bamboo, where a lot of times you'll get a pure white snake, sometimes you'll see a little bit of that pattern coming through from the Special or the Mystic or the Phantom. And then I would say in that case, you would probably actually see some pattern under the black light. So I would say it probably depends on the genes you actually have in the snake, as far as seeing it under the black light. Have I ever seen a ball python with a perceived flat spot on his eye? No, I have never seen that. A flat spot. Almost, I don't know if it would be like a birth defect, possibly, or maybe like an injury or something like that, where they can get a flat spot on their eye. Hello, little guy. He is checking me out. He's looking around the room. It's like there is a world out there, which is interesting. No, I've never seen a flat spot on a ball python's. I've seen some without eyes. I've seen some with micro eyes, really tiny eyes. I've seen some with bug eyes, the real big eyes. Yeah, sometimes you'll have a ball python that has a genetic defect where they'll just have one eye. I have actually one in my collection. I suppose you could have a birth defect with a flat spot on an eye. Mystic Mountain, let's see. My Finn, who's a ball python, is the size of Bobby. Nice. I rescued him from a guy whose roommate left him there. I had him Finn for 11 years. Not sure how old he is. Yeah, so they actually had one I think they had a ball python in a zoo for like 65 years or something. And I don't even think they were sure exactly how old it was, but it was in the zoo for that long, so they knew it was actually 65 years old. And after 65 years, it actually laid eggs. So 65 years old, they're still actually laying eggs. And this was, they think it was parthenogenesis because it was never with a male, which is kind of interesting. So parthenogenesis, when they lay eggs, through that process, essentially all the eggs are a clone of the female. With all the same genes. So if you had like multiple genes in the female and it was never around a male and it laid fertile eggs and you hatched those eggs out, they would all be exactly like the female, which is pretty interesting. They had them for at least 5, but I'm not exactly certain. Call them my cranky teenager. Yeah, most of my Boll Pythons, you know, even at, you know, 10, 15, 20 years even, they're still young snakes, really. You can have a Boll Python for a long time. Casper, my bell is a Super Bamboo VPI Bam Bam. Nice. Going to put them to my Super Pastel Het VPI Pebbles. 50-50 odds. Bam Pastel, Axanthic Bam Pastel. Your fault. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to go for in my collection, is to get a Super Bamboo. Because then when I breed them through my collection, I can produce a lot of bamboos. Especially if I have a whole waiting list of people, and then I can kind of figure out how many bamboos to produce. Because now, you know, I just have single gene bamboos, or if I'm breeding a bamboo to a bamboo, I'm still, you know, the odds are you can get some normals in the mix and some super bamboos. So, yeah. So a lot of people just want bamboos or bamboo combinations. That's kind of what I'm shooting for this year. Hey, Shirley, let's see. My favorite white snake is the Super Fire. Yeah, when it gets the yellow down its back. Yeah, so the Super Fire is in the black-eyed leucistic complex. When you get the Super Fire breeding fire to fire, along with it's also in the black-eyed leucistic, along with vanilla and disco. With those genes too, where you don't get the all-white snake. You get some vanilla creams and vanilla screams and disco creams and a whole bunch of stuff like that. So yeah, I'm actually going to cover a lot of that stuff too in the lilac video that I'm working on. That's probably going to be a long video because there's a lot to cover in that one. But yeah, the Super Fire, the Super Fires can have yellow. But if you actually go with the Super Sulfur can have more yellow than the Super Fire. And sulfur is basically basically it's just a different line of fire, was what it is. Not too many sulfurs kind of floating around out there, but yeah, it's something to be aware of. Had you had time to look into the smoke? No, I haven't. Yeah, this week I was sick for 3 days. And then when I finally got over that, the wind blew down my solar panels, and I was rebuilding my solar setup to where the wind wouldn't destroy my panels. I lost 3 more panels this week, and I'm like, that's it. I can't afford to buy any more solar panels. I'm spending the rest of the week fixing this, so hopefully I got it now to where a windstorm won't destroy my setup. Because basically those solar panels are running through my Blue Eddy and powering my freezers. I have like, I think I have 8 freezers, big full-size freezers that are running mostly off solar now. So don't want my freezers to go out, that's for sure, because I'll lose a bunch of beef and all my rodents for my snakes. Let's see. SD Jones DC, what's up? Really want a Ball Python, but don't want to deal with live prey. Should I only look at balls on frozen, or are they easy to convert? Yeah, some Ball Pythons are impossible to convert. I would do frozen thawed only if you're looking for one like that. If you do a live one, sometimes I've seen some people where if you actually, ball pythons were really hard to take care of at the very beginning where they were capturing ball pythons from the wild because they were like stuck on live. That's the only thing they knew. And trying to transition over to a frozen thawed was really hard. And I'm convinced ball pythons don't want to be fed. They want to hunt. They want live. You know, frozen thawed works. It doesn't work as good as live. It's just what ball pythons really want is the live rodents. But it's really dangerous for ball pythons. You know, you can lose, you know, ball pythons can lose an eye or get bit or, you know, and then there's the whole thing of, you know, watching a living animal, a rat, you know, scream or squeak from being eaten. Yeah, there's many levels of problems feeding live. And as a matter of fact, in some countries, they ban live feeding for ball pythons, which is kind of crazy because ball python hatchlings pretty much need live. You know, the little live mouse hoppers, pretty much harmless to a ball python. But yeah, that's kind of crazy. Yeah, I would stick with, if you go over to Morphmarket, and most of the times they'll tell you if it's live or frozen thawed, I would stay away from live, anything that's eaten live. And I know some breeders, that's all they feed is live. And they have really big fat snakes too, because ball pythons want to eat live. So it's a little bit more picky when you're feeding frozen thawed. They can get kind of stubborn. Let's see, what do you call that when they lay a clutch of clone eggs? It's called parthenogenesis. Which is kind of interesting. So yeah, a lot of times, you know, you breed two snakes together and you'll get unusual odds. And especially if you get a whole clutch of all of one thing, a lot of people will say, maybe it's parthenogenesis. Like if you breed like a bamboo to a normal, and the bamboo is the female, and then that female has all bamboo offspring, it's not necessarily just, the odds that are at play. It could be parthenogenesis where you're getting a whole clutch of eggs that are exactly like the female. But it's pretty obvious if you have like a 5-gene female and all the babies come out like 5-gene animals, then you're like, you know for sure, there's like no way there's odds like that. But if you just have single genes, sometimes it can kind of trick you. Let's see, I don't think my comments are not going through. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with some of these comments. It was kind of the same thing before where we're kind of losing comments. As a matter of fact, I was commenting at the end of one of my videos and I was like, is this the end? And right after I ended the comment, I actually got a message in red from YouTube that said, this looks like it's spam and it's being deleted or something like that. And then I just made a similar comment with a different exclamation point or something, and it actually went through. So a lot of times it'll let you know if your comments are being blocked. But yeah, so I'm over here on live stream, or StreamYard. And StreamYard should connect with the YouTube channel over here and show all the comments. It should show all the comments. So yeah, and I've checked too. A lot of people say their comments aren't going through, and I've actually jumped over to YouTube, looked at the comments compared to over here on StreamYard, and it looks like they're exactly the same. So if they're not going through, I think it's just YouTube blocking them. And I have moderation completely turned off, so none of the comments should be blocked. Oh no, wind is crazy out there during storms. Yeah, it's weird though, because we never had wind like this before. We're kind of in like a little, I don't know what you call it, like a little cup where there's like trees all around us. And normally they'll get wind all over everywhere else and we'll never get the wind all up until this year. I don't know what's going on with the weather this year, but it's like Florida's freezing and it's like, you know, it's super warm here, unusually warm and dry. And then we're getting this crazy wind that we've never seen in the 20 years we've been up here in the mountains. I mean, you know, maybe once a year we'll get wind that's like 80 miles an hour, but it's not like, you know, a whole week's worth of wind or like just random. The other day it was just random. where there's like no wind at all, and then all of a sudden in one day, just over like, you know, 3 hours, again, like 100-mile-an-hour wind. It's like almost blowing trees over. I've never seen anything like it. It's just, I don't know what's going on, but yeah, the weather, it seems like everywhere, it's just crazy. Didn't know that about sulfur. I must have missed the video. Yeah, so yeah, sulfur is similar to fire. As a matter of fact, I think Lucifer is another version of fire. That was one of Brian McCurley, Kevin McCurley, Kevin McCurley's from New England Reptiles. He came up with the Lucifer, and basically what that is that's another version of fire that has a super white form, so it has no yellow in the form. So there's like the Lucifer, which is super white, and then there's the super fire, which is has a little bit of yellow, and then there's the super sulfur, which is the one that has the most yellow in the super form with 2 copies of the gene. So it's an all-white snake with different degrees of yellow in the snake. Let's see. Talking about my 100 subs special. Let's see if this goes through. It went through, yeah. 100 subs special, nice. Yeah, so yeah, starting at the beginning. Yeah, I have a whole bunch of channels, and some of my channels have just a few subs. I kind of gave up on some channels, decided not to go that direction, and yes, yeah. But I remember when I first started with just the one channel, I didn't even know I was going to make a snake channel. And the funny thing is I was doing all these different videos of like the snakes and the cows and the ducks and how to unlock a locked truck in 30 seconds and doing all these videos. And then it seemed like, you know, kind of looking through my analytics back at that time, all the videos that did the best were my snake videos. And that's kind of why I focused on the snakes back at the time. But it's interesting now that a lot of those videos that didn't do very well at the very beginning really blew up and way surpassed all my snake videos. So sometimes you look at your analytics and go, you know, everyone's looking at this video, I think this is the direction I should go. Maybe it's not necessarily the direction that you should go with your channel, because it can change over the years. And some of those videos that aren't that popular at the very beginning can really blow up. So yeah, it's kind of hard to know what to do as far as a channel. Let's see, I said where I live and I posted it, but you did not see it twice. Ah, that's interesting, huh? Interesting, yeah, so it looks like they are cutting out some comments. Let's see, SD Jones, what are your thoughts on feeding your pet in a separate enclosure to reduce cage aggression? I wouldn't do it. As a matter of fact, I went to a pet store. I don't know what the snake is doing. What is Cypher doing on my head? I went to a pet store. One of my first encounters with someone feeding snakes was someone was going through all the snakes at the pet store. They were picking them up, and they were putting them in a separate enclosure, and they had all these totes all lined up on the floor, and they were trying to feed the snake. The problem is if you pick up a snake, snakes pretty much have 2 modes. They have a feeding mode and they have a handling mode. And it seems like for example, for retics, if you open up a retic tub, like if I was to grab a snake hook and open up one of these retic tubs, he would come flying out and expect a rodent every single time. And with the Ball Python, it's not necessarily like that. Sometimes they're in feeding mode, sometimes they're in handling mode where you can actually pick them up. But a retic, you kind of have to work hard to get them into handling mode. But once they go from one mode to another, or they're in a certain mode, a lot of times it's hard to break them out of that mode and get them into another mode. So if you actually picked up a Ball Python like this snake around my neck, if I was like to dangle a rodent in front of this snake, I can almost guarantee it wouldn't eat, because this snake is in handling mode. And that's why it won't bite me. It won't bite my finger like the retics. A lot of times what I'll do is, if I want them in handling mode, I'll crack the tub open a little bit and I'll peek in the tub, and I'll kind of, you know, slowly open the tub, letting that snake know that it's not going to get a rodent, that I want it in handling mode. And then once I open the tub and it's in handling mode, then I can pick it up and kind of go all over with it. But I don't know if I try to feed a retic around my neck. And like if this was a retic around my neck and I tried to dangle a rat, it might take a rat. But the problem is now it's in feeding mode. If it missed that rat, it would probably bite me, you know, once you get it in feeding mode. And the problem is if you're feeding a snake and you're actually taking it out of the enclosure, essentially what you're doing is you're putting it in handling mode, putting it in the tub, and now expecting it to go into feeding mode, which for ball pythons especially is really difficult once you get them in handling mode. So I'd say it depends on the snake. But the other thing is if you feed them in their main enclosure, I don't think it makes them that much more aggressive to actually pick them up and get them out of the enclosure. I'd say I'm totally against picking up a snake, putting it in a separate enclosure to feed it. To me, it just doesn't make sense. All right, let's see. The message I sent explaining why they keep getting deleted got deleted. That's weird. I don't know what's going on. Yeah, but I went into, let me see. I'll look in StreamYard. Let's see. I think it's in, I can't remember where it is in StreamYard for, I think you set the moderation for StreamYard when you're actually entering in the stream. I can't really see it here. Yeah, there's a lot of settings that you enter when you're actually going into StreamYard, but I always turn the moderation off. And I know for sure I actually went over to YouTube and turned off the moderation because I just went in there, turned on the monetization, turned off the moderation. So I don't know why. They must have some kind of default screening in the background that actually deletes comments. Well, I don't know why. That's kind of weird. All right, Mystic Mountain Morph says, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe, y'all. And share. All right, appreciate it. Prevail Pythons. I do a lot of shorts, but it's kind of reaching the wrong people. Yeah, so it's interesting. I've been doing live streams, and then on the back of the live stream, I actually here in StreamYard, I can go in and it automatically cut out some shorts. It like auto generates some shorts, and then I can go into the auto generated shorts and kind of change the font and stuff around like that. But it's interesting because those shorts went out and I was getting like a certain amount of views in the last 48 hours. And then when I started posting those shorts, my views doubled, but my money went way down because you don't make much money for shorts. And then the other interesting thing is on the back of that is a lot of people that had saw my old videos that thought I completely disappeared, found one of my shorts and was directed over to my channel, and then they realized I was posting videos again. So a lot of times you'll reach the wrong people, but a lot of times with shorts, just because I think YouTube's really pushing shorts and you get a lot of views for shorts. Even though you don't make money, I think it really reaches a lot of people that might have seen you and forgot about you and may draw you back. So I think it's more of kind of like advertisement, I guess, kind of a broader advertisement versus, doing it for the money. So I think shorts are worth it to put out some shorts. So as a matter of fact, on the end of this, I'll probably do 4 more shorts right on the end and kind of spin them out, I guess. We'll see if we can pick anything out of here that's worthy of 4 shorts. And a lot of times it's like not snake-related content, which is kind of interesting. All right, what are my thoughts on feeding my pet snake in a separate enclosure to decrease cage aggression? Yeah, so we covered that one. Any concerns with ingesting substrates? So that's kind of interesting, actually. So I've been keeping my retics on paper towels. The problem with that is it gets kind of smelly. When a snake pees, you can smell it in the snake room, and it's way better on coconut husk substrate. But the problem I found is, especially with baby retics, they would get substrate in their mouth, and then A couple years ago, I was having a problem with mouth infections because they grab a mouthful of, the rat and the substrate, and it seemed like they would get the mouth infections from that. So I stopped doing that and moved them over to paper towels. But yeah, that'd be interesting. It'd probably be a lot of work taking all those retics out and then feeding them in a separate enclosure. And then putting after they eat, then grabbing them and putting them back on coconut husk for the week. That might be a way to cut down on the smells in the snake room. I don't know. It seems like it'd be a lot of work, and you'd risk getting bit a lot if you were like moving your retics back and forth to a feeding enclosure, and then while they're in feeding mode, trying to grab them and then put them back in the like a coconut husk substrate. So yeah, that'd be just kind of crazy. But as far as ball pythons, I've never had a problem with the ball python ingesting substrate. I even keep hatchlings. Well, I guess hatchlings, when they're first hatched, I will put them on paper towels and keep the paper towel a little bit damp until they shed out for the first time. Don't really need to, though. I don't think there's any problems with ball python ingesting substrate. Never really had a problem with it. Just skipped 2 of them. More comments being deleted. Let me look. Let me look. Let me look over on YouTube. I'm going to pause this on YouTube. I'm going to look. Wait a minute. That's weird. What are your thoughts? Are you feeding your pet snake? Maybe it is a StreamYard problem. Hold on, hold on. This is weird. I don't see this comment. G Jones. Let me check this out here. Let me check this out. Let me check this out. Our comments are being deleted. What? No. I guess we're on track here. Yeah. It just skipped 2 of them, but I don't see 2 of them even over here on YouTube, which is weird. I have no idea. All right. I don't know what YouTube's doing. I have no idea. All right. Yeah, it seems like they have some kind of moderator built in or something. Yeah, all right. We can trade subs, Prevail Pythons. Yeah, sometimes it's not all about the subs, though. A lot of times it's about the views, especially if you get monetized. It's not about the subs, it's about the views. So you can get a lot of views, which will bring you a lot of money, even if you don't have a lot of subs, which is interesting. All right, Charles, about my lavender albino head pied. When I got home, I searched YouTube, lavender albino ball python gene, and you popped up and been here ever since. That's cool. Yeah, I produced a whole lot of videos. Actually, I actually went through all, when I was doing my videos, like, I think it was like 4 or 5 years ago, I went through all the single genes, and I actually ran out of single genes. So then I started doing common combinations, and then I started like doing 2 gene combinations. I did a whole bunch of those, some of the more common ones. And then I did 3 gene combinations, 4 gene combinations. I think I stopped there. I don't think I went to the 5 gene combinations, but I was doing a lot of stuff like that. Or if you actually picked up a snake and like GHI Mojave, I did a video on that one. So, and you know, a lot of people haven't done videos on like the certain combination mixed with other genes. So if people pick up a snake that has those 2 genes and they want to know what else they can put in there, that's kind of the whole purpose of those videos, is to kind of tell you what the other genes look like in the mix. You want 83 subs? Took me forever to hit 450. Yeah. Yeah, kind of the interesting thing on this channel is, since I took a break, My subs were actually going down when I started posting videos again. So I think they're slowly going back up again. But when I started posting videos like a month ago, they like plummeted, which I think a lot of people that subscribed didn't realize they were subscribing to a Ball Python channel. They thought it was a duck channel or a cow channel or something like that. So yeah, it's pretty interesting. Oh, sub, but I'm afraid of snakes. Yeah, that's the problem. I think that's why a lot of snake channels don't grow that fast, is because a lot of people are afraid of snakes. But it's interesting, though, because I think you get a kind of a loyal following of people that, you know, don't see a lot of videos about, you know, ball pythons especially. And there's not a lot of people actually producing a lot of videos on ball pythons. So, you know, for a ball python guy, there's just like a handful of ball python channels that you can actually watch. So you kind of have a captive audience, even though it might not be that many subs, but you'll have the same people coming back again and again, which is kind of interesting way to do YouTube. Clowning around pythons, what's up? I just got done pairing my butter acid het clown to my GHI leopard pastel het clown. Second season in a row, hoping to hit a GHI leopard acid clown. Wow, that's pretty cool. So you have butter, and butter is basically, well, they used to say butter was the same thing as lesser, but now it's been genetically proven that butter and lesser are actually two different genes. And then acid is like static and confusion. I think those are pretty much the same gene, acid, static, and confusion. Het clown, so the acid really shatters the pattern. It can be a dark gene. GHI is dark, leopard's dark. So yeah, and then the pastel butter would be brightening genes. So that would be interesting. GHI, leopard, acid clown. So if you actually did a GHI, I know the GHI Mojave is more impressive if you add the pastel or some of the brightening genes. It can really bring out some of the brightness. So if you actually had the butter and the pastel in with the GHI leopard acid clown, you may actually get brighter brights and keep the dark darks. It might be a pretty awesome combination, actually. Cage aggression is a myth. I agree. I think so too. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's old thinking, that before they really knew what was going on. Clowning around pythons, what's up? What's up? Do I have any Desert Ghost bamboos? No, I don't have Desert Ghost bamboos. Matter of fact, I had some bamboo het Desert Ghost, and I sold them all. I pretty much sold them all. So, yeah. Bamboo clowns. I don't have any bamboo clowns. I had some bamboo het clowns, but never produced the clowns. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that I wanted to hold back, but I don't know. People are like, oh, I've been looking forever for a Bobby baby, and it's like, I need to buy one. I'll pay you double. And then I'm like, all right, here's my last bamboo het clown. And that's usually what happens to a lot of my projects, is people buy me out of a lot of my projects that I want to move forward with. So yeah, so no bamboo clowns or bamboo desert ghost clowns. How does the pattern of the bamboo transfer to the head in its clown version? Interesting. So yeah, so usually with the clown you get a really strong head stamp. So I would think with the bamboo clown you would actually get a really strong head stamp. I'm sure you can go over to Morphmarket and see some bamboo clowns over there, but that would be pretty interesting. So, all right, Prevail Pythons. I feel like the reptile community kind of needs to approve a little bit, because if you're a beginner of all python breeder, you may have your snakes in a long size cage and stuff. Yeah, so a lot of misinformation out there, I'd say, especially if you're a beginner. So yeah, I guess that's what my channel is all about, is trying to bring new people into the hobby and and trying to go over a lot of the basic stuff that people ask. So it seems like every live stream people are asking, you know, simple stuff like what's a het or something like that. What's a lilac? You know, I get all the simple questions, and it seems like a lot of the other live streams people just don't answer that, and it's actually hard to find good answers for newbies. Because I used to football pythons on aspen bedding. I don't do it anymore, but I got a lot of hate for that. So, yeah, so I've actually tried aspen on my ball pythons, and it wasn't good. It wasn't good because aspen actually has really sharp kind of like sticks in there, almost like little needles that get stuck in their mouth. They actually do get stuck in their mouth. And haven't had that problem with the coconut husk chip at all. But I tried aspen for a little bit. Bought it at the pet store, the really expensive stuff, the really clean, high-grade stuff in the bags. And I did not like it. It was like getting in the mouths of my ball pythons, and it was like sticking there. A lot of my ball pythons, after they were eating, I had to go in and like pull the aspen out of their mouth, which is kind of crazy. And I stopped doing it. Also with the aspen, it seemed like it didn't really grab onto the humidity as much as the coconut husk, to where it would really absorb it and then slowly release it, like the coconut husks, to maintain the humidity. So I tried it, didn't like it, got out of it. Aspen is not for me for sure, for a bedding, for ball pythons. Let's see, Illuminated with Dren, what's up? Do you recommend keeping freshly hatched ball pythons in the incubator until they shed? Yeah, you can do that. You can keep them in the incubator. I've done that before. You can either do that or put them in like a hatchling rack until they shed. I usually put them on like paper towels. Matter of fact, a couple of years I think I put them on coconut husk too, and wait till they shed. But you just want to make sure there's enough humidity. And it seems like hatchlings are less prone to being stuck in a shed when they first shed out. So it seems like maybe the first dozen sheds or so, it seems like you almost will never get a hatchling stuck in a shed unless it's like really super dry. But as far as what I've seen, you know, a lot of my adults will get stuck in a shed with the same humidity in the room. But the hatchlings and the young snakes don't really seem to get stuck in the shed. So yeah, I would definitely wait till they shed before you feed them for the first time. But yeah, you can keep them in the incubator. They're not going to go anywhere, I guess. The only reason I took them out of the incubator is because, you know, usually in the egg box, a lot of times you'll get like mold on the eggs a little bit. Usually they'll still hatch if there's like a little mold on there, but I actually wanted to get them out of there and clean up the egg boxes and just, you know, kind of keep the incubator from smelling bad from egg boxes being in there too long. So that's you know, why I've actually done it. Usually I'll put them up in the hatchling rack, but sometimes I'll leave them in the incubator. Let's see, same old, buddy. Let's see. Hey, I'm back. Question. What breeds do you plan on breeding this season? So this season, I am breeding 9 females to 1 bamboo calico pinstripe male. I'm just doing all bamboo combinations. So the first one I paired was my pastel banana pinstripe het clown female. Hoping to make some banana bamboos with the yeah, so I could, you know, with that pairing I could have banana, as a matter of fact I can have the banana, the pinstripe, the core glow, well it'd be banana banana, pinstripe, bamboo, het clown, possible pastel. I think it's possible pastel on that one, so I'm not 100% sure. And then this week I moved it over to my lesser triple het, going for the so it could be the bamboo, pinstripe, calico, lesser, triple het. So het clown, het albino, het pied, 5, 6. So I could get 7 genes in that one, which is kind of crazy. I think that's probably the most genes I have. And then I have a couple lemon blasts. I'll breed it through those. So I'll have some the lemon blast. The other thing that'll be interesting too is I have some calicos and some pinstripes that I'm breeding a calico and pinstripe to. So I might get some super calicos or super pinstripes. It'd be interesting to see the genetic testing to see if I can actually get a super calico or a super pinstripe, and then prove that out and breed it and get a whole clutch full of calicos or pinstripes. That'd be interesting. Another goal for this year is to make a super bamboo. So I'm breeding that male, the bamboo pinstripe calico, to a bamboo pinstripe female, hoping to get the super bamboo, maybe with the calico and the pinstripe, maybe the super pinstripe. I don't know. I don't know if I've ever actually seen someone prove out a super calico or a super pinstripe, so that'll be kind of interesting. So basically, yeah, just kind of breeding the bamboo through my collection for all those people that want bamboos. Then I'll just have a bunch of random single gene, double gene, stuff like that, probably 50% of the time. Yeah, so it should be an interesting year. Did I just say breeds twice? Maybe. Let's see. Hit that like button and subscribe, y'all. 33 here, 18 likes, 30 people on a Saturday afternoon. When I put my snake Bella on my neck, she just wants to curl up into a ball on my head. It looks like I have a python hat on. Yeah, that happens to me sometimes too. Sometimes they'll coil up on your head. I usually try to keep them off my head because I don't want them to fall on the floor. That's kind of the big thing. Let's see. Professor X Beats, what's up? Just wanted to say I'm glad you're back. Yeah, it's good to be back. Yep, cranking out the videos, man. Selling the snakes. I sold a bunch of snakes. I can't even believe it. So, which is good because I'm emptying out some of my bigger tubs, which I need to move some of my retics in. My retics are in these 50-40 tubs behind me. Well, most of the smaller ones, but there's a couple in there that need some bigger tubs that need to be moved up to a bigger tub. So I'm glad I sold 2 from the bigger tubs this week. So, and then another one from a really big tub. So yeah, I can start shuffling stuff around and move everything up to bigger tubs, which is nice. Will I be vending at Tinley in a few weeks? No, I don't have any hatchlings. That's one thing. No hatchlings to sell at Tinley. Yeah, I probably won't be traveling around for the shows. I might do some local shows here in Colorado, but I haven't decided yet. We'll see. Spring shows are kind of not as popular as the fall shows, so maybe I'll hit some fall shows. Is a scaleless Lucy possible? Yes. I don't think I've ever seen a blue-eyed leucistic that's completely scaleless. But that would be interesting because I don't know if it would still have the intense white color as a blue-eyed leucistic if it didn't have any scales. It almost seemed like it'd be maybe, I don't know, like a little, kind of like a cream color. I don't know. It'd be interesting to actually see a completely scaleless blue-eyed leucistic. I just want the most purple ball python. Yeah, so the most purple one that I've seen is a young coral glow. The coral glows in the bananas, when they're really young, they can be really purple, but they grow out of it, unfortunately, and they're not purple for very long. Like brand new hatchlings, they can have a lot of really bright purple in them. You can also do purple passions. Purple passions can be pretty purple. That's with the, I believe that's the Mystic and Mojave, I believe. I can probably pull one up here. Go over to Morphmarket, see if I can find the most purple snake. Mystic and Mojave. Oh no, that's the Mystic Potion. That is, I believe that's the Mystic Potion. Let's see. Hold on, hold on. I got that wrong. Let's see. Hold on, hold on. Purple Passion. We're going to genes. No additional traits. Yeah, this one, it's not really that purple. Phantom Mojave is the Purple Passion. Phantom Mojave. Okay. Whoa. All right. Yeah, so the Purple Passion, I can kind of share if you want to see what Purple Passion is. Not as purple as like a juvenile Coraglora banana. But yeah, this is the Purple Passion. Not really that purple, I guess. Kind of purple, even though it's called the Purple Passion. Yeah, that's about as good as you're going to get. All right, let's see. You should do a stream where you take all your stranger breeds and sit with them and watch Stranger Things. Yeah, I don't have stranger in my collection. Yeah, but I do have some oddballs here in the collection. All right, let's see. I just found those leather biker pants, but then you stopped YouTube, so I wasn't sure how to contact you. Just throwing that out there. You still ride? Yes, I do still ride, as a matter of fact. And I will take those leather biker pants. Yeah, contact me over on Morphmarket. I'll even pay for shipping if you still have them. As a matter of fact, the last time I was on my bike going down the highway, I was passing this car and he kicked up a bunch of gravel and it hit me in the leg. And boy, that really stung. I was going about 60, 65 miles an hour and that gravel hit me. And I was thinking about those pants. If I had some leather chaps on, that wouldn't have hurt so much. But yeah, that was an interesting experience. Autocorrect is killing me. Yeah, that's the thing about autocorrect and ball pythons. A lot of times it'll get the gene wrong. Let's see, Johnny ATM. Hey, Chris, Griff Reaper from DMJ Reptiles in the house. What's up? Any tips or tricks? Not right now. I'll probably have some tips and tricks on some of the long form videos this week. All right, I was going to get a lavender albino retic, but where I live, they cannot be over 8 feet, so I didn't want to risk it. Yeah, so that is the problem. Yeah, if you get a retic, I'd say the funny thing about retics is a lot of times they can, even the super dwarfs, they can be really long and really skinny. So you can have a really skinny snake that's 8 feet long, easily controlled by one person, but yeah, if it gets over 8 feet, then you have a problem, which is, some of these laws don't really make sense. What if it's 7 foot, 11 inches, and then, I don't know, what if it goes over 8 feet? What are you going to do with the snake? Yeah, it's crazy. Any new eggs? No, this year I just started pairing up 2 weeks ago. So I paired up 1 week with one snake, paired up this last week, just separated them today. Gonna do a feeding tomorrow, pair up my third snake tomorrow, so it's still, what, 6 months probably? 3 to 6 months before I get some eggs, probably. Want to get a visual gargoyle clown. That sounds interesting, with the gargoyle clown. Any tips or tricks for getting a long fasting adult to take? Yeah, so you could try a live. Could try a live. You could probably do like a live mouse or something, which would be interesting, or a live weaned rat, maybe a smaller one that's not as dangerous as like a bigger rat. You could do a fresh killed. So if you had like some kind of a CO2. As a matter of fact, I was actually, when I was doing the CO2 on my rats, I had a little Tupperware container with a snap lid, and then I'd drill a hole and put like an inner tube that you like the valve stem for an inner tube. You put it on there and remove the core, and then just use it for like a little mini gas chamber, I guess. You try, yeah, and then you know, as soon as you euthanize, then feed it to your ball python. Sometimes that'll do the trick, because a lot of times they want really fresh rodents that you really can't get with a frozen thawed. And sometimes a freshly euthanized rodent will actually kind of snap them out of it fast. Another thing you could try is giving them a mouse. If you've been trying rats all the time, you can give them a mouse, like an extra large mouse. A lot of times, if you have ball pythons that'll fast, if I have like a whole rack that's fasting, like, you know, in the middle of the winter and none of them eat, I'll go through with the extra large mice, and probably half of them will eat, which is pretty amazing. And then once they get kind of crazy on mice, you can easily switch back to rats. Yeah, another thing you could try is to leave the rodent in the tub with the ball python. So open up the tub, put it in front of them, close up the tub, and then come back like half an hour later and see if it's actually eating it. I've actually had some ball pythons that'll be really picky when I'm like dangling it in front of them, that'll actually take it when it's just laying in front of them. Another thing you can try is, if you have tubs like I do, is to open the tub a little bit and then put it all the way in and kind of dangle it there. As a matter of fact, last week what I was doing is I'd put it in the tub and I'd dangle it a little bit, and then I'd close up the tub and kind of pinch the tail in the tub, and then I'd move to the next snake and do the same thing, just kind of put it in the tub, close the tub to where the tail had just barely enough room to move, and then kind of jingle it a little bit, just kind of move it around a little bit, and then close it in the tub, and do that for like 3 snakes, and then go back to the first snake, open it up a little, and just jiggle the tail just a little bit and move it, and go back through the 3. And I had 3 ball pythons that wouldn't eat, and using that technique, I actually had 2 of them eat, which is pretty amazing. So I left them in there a little bit longer and didn't constantly shake them, and didn't have the ball python looking at me to get intimidated from me. So that's another thing you can do. And sometimes they just won't take it no matter what you do. You can try a lot of different things. Sometimes they just won't take it. Super calico, yeah, I don't know. Super calico, yeah. Is there a super calico? That is the question. You can actually go to Morphmarket. Let me go over to Morphmarket and see if anyone actually has a super calico. Super calico. No results. None for sale. Look at, let's do availability all. See if anyone's ever had a super calico. There's supposedly one person in all regions in the 600,000 ball pythons. There's actually a couple. There's 2 of them. Super calico and RTB super calico. Super in parentheses. So it'll be interesting. Breeding my calicos to calicos and then doing DNA testing. It's actually listed over on Morphmarket, but no one's actually, seems like no one's actually proven that the super calico is able to be produced. So that'll be my interesting project for the year. Can I produce a super pinstripe and a super calico? Going to next Colorado Expo. I haven't really been keeping up. I've been going crazy trying to get the videos out. I'll have to check into the expos. Maybe I can do a video down in the expo. That'd be kind of cool. Super calico, how? Basically, you breed a calico to a calico. 25% of the time, you should get a super calico. So, yeah, is that even possible? We don't know. All right, my snake Lilith sits on top of my hat. She is Emperor Pin Enchi. Yeah, it seems like snakes always want to go to the highest point. It's kind of weird, especially the retics. They always want to reach up, and then they'll like lift them up, and they'll want to like touch the ceiling and lick the ceiling. It's like, I don't know why snakes always want to go up and up and up. It's kind of weird. Everybody wants that, yeah. How rare would a natural blue ball python be? Yeah, so, yeah, maybe someday we can find a gene to make a, like a bright red ball python and a bright blue. That'd be kind of interesting. Still waiting for that new gene to come out. I remember someone claimed to have like a super bright red ball python. Turned out to be a scam. People were actually taking blue-eyed leucistics and painting them red and then selling them for like tens of thousands of dollars. It was like this big scam. I actually did a video on it a long time ago. It was kind of crazy. Super blackhead toffee. That's an interesting combination. So yeah, if you have like an albino and you work dark genes in with an albino, essentially what you'll get a lot of times, like if you have a black pastel albino, what you'll get is you'll get a snake that looks like it's an albino, but it'll have more white and the color patterns will be reduced into smaller patterns. So it'll be like a kind of a high white albino, which is kind of an interesting effect. So I would imagine a super blackhead might have the same effect on a toffee, where it can really reduce the size of the colored patterns and bring out a lot more white into the toffee, which would be an interesting combo. So maybe after the stream I'll look that up and see if anyone's made one on Morphmarket and see if it actually has the same effect that I'm thinking about. Let's see. I have a bamboo and a cinnamon lesser with the cinnamon rune, the Lucy part of my hatchlings. No. If you have a bamboo lesser, it'll be an all-white snake. You can have 10 more genes in there and you won't see any of them, especially with the bamboo lesser. It depends on what genes you have. As a matter of fact, I was looking at some of the blue-eyed leucistics, and it almost seemed like they acted like the ivory, which is the super yellow belly. And in the super yellow belly, it's an all-white snake unless you have leopard or enchi in the mix, which actually brings out a lot of the patterns in the ivory, and it'll also bring out a lot of the colors of the other genes in with the mix. And I was looking at some of the blue-eyed leucistics the other day, especially the bamboo specials, the bamboo mystics, the bamboo phantoms, those genes that don't make a completely white snake. And I've actually seen some of them. It seemed like enchi kind of had the same effect as it does on the ivories, where it seems to bring out more of the pattern. And it seemed like there were some other genes in there too, where if you actually added other genes on top of that, you could actually break through the white snake and bring those genes out. But as far as I know, with the bamboo and the lesser, yeah, nothing's really going to break through those two genes. It's only with the other genes that kind of let stuff bleed through, like the phantom, the mystic, and the special. Those genes. Let's see. Purple Passion, Mystic Potion are beautiful. I think they turn more gray, but I still love them. Yeah, I should have looked for a hatchling. They're definitely more purple as a hatchling. I'll look into Coral Glow Banana. Yes. Yeah, there's nothing really that purple. Yeah, that really stays purple that I've seen. Will do. As a matter of fact, I was going through some colors. I may have made a video on that. I was doing videos on like how to make a white snake, how to make a black snake, how to make a striped snake. This Hardwick Reptiles. Purple snake. I don't think I did a video on how to make a purple snake. Oh, I did. Yeah. So look up Chris Hardwick Reptiles, how to make a purple ball python. 5 years ago. I had some interesting combinations that I recommended back then. So yeah, you might want to take a look at that video. From now on, you should be called Dr. Hardwick. Yep, I guess, yeah, don't really have a PhD. Yeah, it's interesting that you don't get a PhD, but yet you can study in one area for 30 years, and it's still not equivalent to a PhD. It's like the educational institutions have determined that you need to take certain classes in order to be certified as a doctor. It's all run by the universities, which is kind of crazy, yeah. Look into dwarfs. Yeah, so, yeah, if you're talking about the 8-foot limit on the reticulated pythons, even the dwarfs and the super dwarfs, I think, can exceed the 8-foot limit. Just don't give up on the feeding. Yeah, so yeah, that's one thing. If your snake doesn't eat, make sure you keep offering every week, and you end up throwing a lot of rodents out. Unless you have a lot of snakes. What I'll actually do is I won't thaw out, like if I have 60 ball pythons, I won't thaw out 60 rodents. I'll thaw out maybe 40, and then I'll go through, and the ones that don't eat, I'll give, to the ones that do eat. And it seems like, well, sometimes I'll actually have extra rodents that I throw. Sometimes I throw away a lot of rodents, and sometimes I don't have enough too. But then usually if I go through and I don't have enough rodents, then I'll mark that tub, and then the next week I'll know to kind of double up on the feed if they didn't get enough food. But that's the good thing, is if you have a snake that just will not eat, especially if you have multiple ball pythons, you can actually kind of rotate them through, and if one doesn't eat, you can feed it to another one, and that way you won't waste your rodents. All right, let's see. If you want to do African soft fur, yeah, I was almost going to mention the African soft fur and the gerbils and stuff like that. I probably wouldn't go that route. If you have a really stubborn feeder that absolutely will not eat, and then you give it an African soft fur, it could potentially be the only thing that they'll accept, in the future, and then you get stuck on African soft furs. I would rather you do a live rodent than go with African soft furs or gerbils or something like that, because the problem is, if you try to sell a snake and it will only eat African soft furs, you'll probably have a hard time trying to sell that snake. I probably wouldn't do it. All right, let's see. Does your Coral Glow Bubbles or Porky have any hints of purple? Bubbles or Porky? Good question. Let me see. I want to pull up my master list of ball pythons. We'll see. Let's see. Porky. Let's see if I even have him in here. He is Ball Python number 36. I guess we could pull him out. Check it out. 36. You can take a look. If I can find him. He's 34, 35, 39, 38, 37, 36. Whoa, I scared him. He's not a happy camper. He looks like he's kind of going into a shed or something. So this is Porky. Let me pull up the video here. Do you see any purple in there? He had a lot of purples when he was a baby, and no spots at all. So, not much purple left in there. It's kind of muddied out. I think he's starting to go into a shed. But yeah, they go through a dramatic transformation. Come on, buddy. Don't be so scared. So that one or Bubbles. Bubbles. That is 33. See if we can find 33. Yeah, I kind of labeled all these so it's easier to find them. 30, 35. I might have, I don't know if I still have Bubbles. I may have sold that one actually. Maybe. 38, 33. I know I moved some of them over here. Let's see if I can even find them. You know, I think I may have sold Bubbles. I think I may have. Oh yeah, I did. No? Oh yeah, let's see. I don't know. I'm gonna have to go over here to Morphmarket. Yeah, that's the problem with so many snakes. They kind of get lost. For sale. I've been selling so many, it's hard to keep the inventory up to date. No, I sold Bubbles. No, that's the female. That is the female Coral Glow. Bubble. Possible pastel. It's lost in my collection. And according to my master list over here, Bubbles should be 33. Yeah. Ah, right here, Bubble. All right, Bubble. You want to go up on my shoulder? Oh, right behind me. Yeah, I started labeling all my snakes with a number, and then making this whole spreadsheet of the genes and if they're for sale, if I collected the shed and everything. So kind of a new system. I'm still trying to get used to the system, but yeah, I don't think Bubble has any purple left. No purple left. Yeah. We'll see if this one has never been around my neck, so this one will be interesting. This one might kind of freak out a little bit. All right, let's see. I found a purple rain on Morphmarket. It's Banana GHI Mojave. Ooh. Purple rain, huh? Banana GHI Mojave. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if that one will actually stay purple as it ages. Never heard of the purple rain. I might have to put that one on my list. Purple rain. That is the Banana GHI Mojave. All right, I'll have to look into that one. Maybe as a video topic. That'll be interesting. All right, let's see. I have a Banana Leopard Mojave that has held the purplish color for years with no spots. Interesting. Banana Leopard Mojave. I believe that leopard helped keep that down, but the combination seems to stay more purple, huh? Banana Leopard Mojave. Interesting. Would be cool, but my phone's dying, so I'm gone. See you later, OD Coffee. Yeah, Core Glow Purple Passion. That might be purple as a youngster, but you can see the Core Glows don't really hold their purple that much, so they pretty much lose all the purple. This one is bubble around my neck. This one is for sale. Yeah, this is female Chloroglow, actually made with a male maker. Possible pastel. Now that I've seen the pastel in some of the Chloroglows, I don't think this one has pastel in it. Still hasn't shed, so I don't have the shed testing on this one. 50% het pied. All right, let's see. I switched to African soft furs, and 90% of my collection eats. Just beware they go crazy over them. Made some crazy content of them coming shooting out of their bins to get them. Yeah, that's the problem. That's the problem. You get a ball python that likes to eat something that's odd like that. African soft furs are hard to get. As a matter of fact, if you go over to Morphmarket, Rodent Pro, they only have 2 different sizes of African soft furs, and they're pretty expensive over there. So I don't know if you could like order like 100 African soft furs, or like, you know, I'll order like hundreds at a time. So I don't know if they could actually supply that kind of demand, because a lot of people don't feed those. Let's see. Balto fan forever. What's up? Can ball pythons live up to 30 years? I've heard that they can live up to 60 years. I saw one in a zoo that laid eggs at 60 years old, which is kind of crazy. So I don't think we know the true lifespan of a ball python. I don't think the ball python industry has been around that long. So, you know, if they live to be, you know, 30 years old, you would think that people would be losing ball pythons from old age by now. And I have not seen people losing ball pythons from old age, so it's kind of interesting. Super Lori is really blue. Yeah, so Lori is actually, a lot of people say that Lori is actually a line of het red axanthic. So that would be, the Super Lori would be the super het red, so. Which is interesting. I'll have to check that out, the Super Lori. Yes, they can live 30 plus years. Let's see, am I working with tri-stripe? No tri-stripes in my collection. I almost bought into the tri-stripe project. It was back at, when I met Brian Barczyk at the NARBC, they actually had a bunch of tri-stripe stuff there. And I was either thinking about doing tri-stripe or pieds, and didn't really know much about ball pythons, and someone convinced me to get into pieds, since everyone was saying pieds and clowns are the way to go. This guy's finally waking up. He's like, why am I here? He's getting a little squirrely. Let's see. Ultramellow Pin has the purplish color. Interesting. Ultramal Pin. Yeah, I did make a purple video. Yeah, it's been a while. It's interesting too, because a lot of those videos, you know, I'll study for like 8 hours and I'll gather all the information, and then I'll crank out a video, and then like 5 years later, I'll forget half of it. It's kind of like, it's almost like cramming for an exam at school. You know, it's like at the time you know it and you can just rattle it off, and then, you know, after you graduate years later, you're like, what did I say? What did I study? And you lose all the details. And a lot of times I have to go back to my own videos to actually figure out some of the stuff that I actually did research on years ago, which is pretty fascinating. Kind of a weird effect of making videos that are like really, you know, complicated with all the genes and everything. I just got 3 SD retakes, a Phantom Anery and a Phantom Anery. Sweet. Yeah, that's pretty awesome. Yeah, I should be selling a couple more SD retakes here, and I might post them tomorrow if I have some time. I was going to post a male and a female. My lavender albinos. They're pretty cool. My brother got an SD from Garrett, and that thing is awesome. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see how big some of those from Garrett get if you actually power fed them. If you really fed those super dwarf retics, like if you fed them like every day, if they would, how big they would actually get, like the potential size of some of the super dwarfs, which is, because yeah, I think if you feed any retic, it can get really big. I've had a female stranger hatchling for a month, and she finally took her first meal. Wow. 2 days ago. Got a female red stripe adults. It's been 2-month hunger strike. Yeah, that's ball pythons. Sometimes they can go for months. Usually I worry about them if they start getting really super skinny. Another thing you can do is if a ball python is refusing to eat, especially for a long time, you can go through and do more frequent changes of their coconut husk bedding. A lot of times, if they have soiled bedding, they won't eat. That's what I found. So, yeah, I would definitely do frequent bedding changes, get some fresh coconut husk in there. Maybe start changing out every week on your coconut husk bedding, see if you can get them to eat. Learn not to worry about hunger strikes. Yeah, I'm kind of the same way too, as I don't really worry about it. If they eat, they eat. If they don't, they don't. Unless they start getting like really super skinny. I've only had a couple of them that just got super skinny. And usually at that point, they'll start eating again. They'll go back on food. Another thing you can try is if you have a rack system, and if you have one snake that won't eat for a long time, especially if it's on the bottom, you can actually move that snake like up to the middle or the top of the rack. I found it's a little bit cooler on the bottom. I actually just bought a new fan in my reptile room that really circulates the air really good. And it seems like if you don't have a strong enough fan to circulate the air, that you can get hot pockets on the top of your room, you can get cold spots on the bottom. And especially with those cold spots on the bottom, a lot of times you'll have females that'll go off of food. So, yeah, so you kind of have to swap your snakes around too. That's another, there's a lot of tricks you can do. He's gorgeous. This one is a gorgeous snake. Let's see. Thank you. Mystic helps me a lot. Hello, Chris from us in the UK, the Snake Shack. What's up, Snake Shack? In the UK. I do watch a lot of ball python channels in the UK. I think it's pretty fascinating. Yeah, Bubbles is still on Morphmarket. It took me a while to find Bubbles. Yeah, the problem now is my ball pythons are intermixed with all my retics. So I'm like going through them, I'm like, wait, there's no name on this one. Oh, it's a retic. I kind of mixed them all together. Let's see, I'm a little behind on comments. Let's see. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe, y'all. We've been going for 2 hours and 2 minutes. 39 people in the live. All right, let's see. What is your opinion on how much to feed a female building follicles? I would say as much as you can. If they go back on food, yeah, sometimes, you know, I've seen big breeders, you know, when a female goes back on, as a matter of fact, if you actually, some say if you pair a male and a female, the act of pairing them up will actually stimulate follicle production, which is pretty interesting. Some people kind of go the opposite route. Well, they'll actually like take an ultrasound and they'll look at the follicles and they won't pair them up until the female reaches a certain size follicles, and then they'll pair up the male or females. But let me tell you, once you start pairing up your snakes, and if that female starts going back on food, which I've seen in my collection here, I start pairing them up and that female will start going crazy. That's the time to start feeding them medium rats at least once a week. Some people will even double up, you know, and feed twice a week, kind of space it out a little bit and really get that female going. Make sure you offer at least once a week and get that female building as much as possible. The more they eat, the more chance you have of getting eggs, that's for sure. All right, thanks so much. Let's see, Bluegrass Balls, what's up? I've got 2 SD, a male golden child. Ooh, het Annery and a female purple snow motley tiger. Wow, they got those in super dwarfs. Wow, all those genes. That's pretty cool. Both 50% Calatola and 6.75% Jampea. Pretty awesome. Chris Blocker, what's up? Banana Mojave Ultra Male has a lot of purple. Yeah, so that's interesting. Yeah, the bananas can be really purple as a juvenile. Banana Mojave Ultra Male. That's an interesting combination. I don't think I've seen that one. All right, let's see. Would it be possible, or what would some outcomes be if Bubble was bred to a hypo clown or hypo het clown, or would that not be worth it? So, yeah, Bubble is Bubble is a Coral Glow, 50% het pied, so has no hypo in it. So if you bred Coral Glow to a hypo, all the offspring would be 50% het hypo, and then half the offspring would be Coral Glow. And since this one's a female, all the offspring, half the offspring would be females, half the offspring would be males, and all the male offspring would be female makers and would make female offspring if you grew them up and bred them. Which is, yeah, you get the whole sex link thing with the Coral Glow. But then essentially to get a hypo, you'd have to raise up 2 of the offspring, the het hypos, breed them together, and you bred a het hypo to a het hypo, or you could breed them back to the hypo. But if you bred 2 hets together, then 25% of the time you'd get a hypo or a ghost, Coral Glow ghost. If you bred the hets to a hypo, then 50% of the time you'd actually get the ghost. And then, of course, you have to work in the odds of getting the banana in with the ghost. So if you bred a banana, het ghost to a banana het ghost, so basically you're breeding a banana to banana, so it'd be, wait, would it be 25% of the time, or would it be 50% of the time? I'm confusing myself. Let's see. We could actually plug it into the calculator. It's a little bit confusing to actually explain. Let's see if the calculators are actually working. So banana, het, hypo, to banana, het, hypo. What? It's not working. All right, there's some glitches going on here. Yeah, so you would get, yeah, I can share this with you. You get a lot of combinations, actually. I think this is the one I am adding here. Here's the genetic calculator. So you would get banana head hypo. You would get some super bananas and some bananas. Yeah. So you get a super banana hypo and you would get a banana hypo. So if you wanted just the banana hypo, that would be 13% of the time because of the super bananas. Yeah. I was like confusing myself. I need a calculator. So if you wanted the banana hypo, of course you get the super banana hypo too. So that would be 6% of the time. So it'd be 19% of the time you would get a banana hypo or super banana hypo. All right, that took a calculator to actually figure out. It's like, wait a minute, I'm confusing myself. I just can't rattle that one off. All right, let's see. Jeffrey Pfeiffer, what's up? Just got ready to breed Het Desert Ghost, Het Hypo. What would you pair with? Got ready to breed Het Desert Ghost, Het Hypo. So it's a double het. Yeah, you can breed it to a Desert Ghost Hypo. Or what I would actually do is if you could get like a multi-gene combination. Depends on how many snakes you want. So if you want like multiple snakes, if you want like, well, it depends if it's a male or female too. So if it was actually a male and you could breed it to multiple females, I would probably get one female with a bunch of other genes that's Het Desert Ghost, and another one with multiple genes that's Het Hypo. And then you can kind of keep your ghost project separated from your hypo project. Or you could just get one that's double het, Desert Ghost, and Het Hypo, and then add other genes to it. You know, get like a multi-gene female that has both those genes. That way you have a possibility of getting the Desert Ghost or the Hypo, which is Ghost. So, yeah, another thing you want to make sure is what version of Hypo you have. Sometimes they can tell you if it's just the regular ghost or if it's the orange ghost or the green ghost, or there's different ghosts. The green ghost is not compatible with just the regular hypo. So that's good to know too. The orange ghost is usually like a ghost, but it has orange tones in it. So that'd be good to know too, depending on what other genes you want in the mix. Let's see, XRF Reptiles. If I had unlimited resources, what project would I work on? Good question. I would probably, if I had unlimited resources, unlimited funds, I would probably go with a lot of the new genes. You know, people are talking about the gorilla gene and the, like the zebra ball python, a lot of the new stuff coming out that's kind of untouchable as far as, you know, financially able to jump in on that. But that'd be kind of interesting. And that way, if you had, you know, other stuff that you could breed to, you could make the world's first and kind of explore the frontier of what's actually going on in ball pythons versus just kind of, you know, like making what everyone else has made before, which is what most people do, I'd say, because there's been so many combinations made. That'd be one way to go. Another one would be, you know, to work on like a multi-gene project with maybe some new genes with a lot of other genes on top of that too, where you need to do a lot of DNA testing to figure out the offspring. All right, for RGI shed testing, a 50% het orange ghost. Do I just select hypomelanistic or hypo ghost? Good question. So they have both over there. That's interesting. Let me go over there. So yeah, if you're wondering about genetic testing, you can actually come over here to Morphmarket, click on genetic testing right here, and look down here. They have. Oh, let's see. The snake's getting a little squirrely. So they have, let's see, I don't even see ghost over here. Or hypomelanistic. I don't see hypomelanistic. And I don't see ghost. I don't see ghost over here. Orange ghost, hypomelanistic or hypo ghost. Yeah, I don't see either one. You can also go to, that's interesting, because you can also go to rare genetics. So if you actually go over to Morphmarket, you get a discount. Available tests, ball pythons. Hypomelanistic, they have it over here. That's interesting. Hypomelanistic, hypo ghost. Interesting. Hypo ghost. I would say probably hypo ghost. What's hypomelanistic? That's also ghost. I don't know. I don't know. Probably what I would do is I would contact Rare Genetics and ask them. That's a good question. It almost seems like it's redundant. Yeah, I don't know. Unless one of them is like a different kind of ghost. But that does seem odd. I did not catch that over there. And it's weird that it doesn't seem like it's over on Morphmarket. Let's see. Mile High Pipe Smoker, what's up? Hey, Chris Jafar's home and was checking out his new place for a while before settling in. Nice. Nice. Yeah. Another snake went to a good home. Good deal. Let's see, how much to feed after they have their ovulation shed. So, yeah, basically you'll just keep feeding female ball pythons until they stop eating. And then once the follicles get so big, the follicles are the eggs, basically, the immature eggs. Once they get to a certain size, they'll just stop eating, and they won't eat until usually until they lay eggs. If you keep the female on the eggs, then they won't eat for like until the eggs hatch. So that's one reason to actually get them off of the eggs. And once they lay eggs, I would probably give the snake a bath. They kind of wash it down. I probably wouldn't use any soap, just like warm water, like 85 degrees, just kind of wash down the snake. I'd clean out the tub, change out the bedding, and that'll usually kind of convince them to go back on food. You want them to go back on food for the next breeding season, because you got to get them to eat. Most people say to get them to eat at least 5 or 6 rodents before you pair them up again. So yeah, so I would just keep feeding until they stop eating, and then once you know they're building those eggs and they just keep getting bigger and bigger, and they go off of food, I just don't even offer the females any more food at that point. Just stop feeding them until they lay eggs, which can be a couple months. Just kind of let them be. Check for eggs every now and then. And when they get closer and closer, I usually check every day. When I think they're going to lay eggs, I usually just kind of peek in the tub every day. Just make sure they have enough water. All right, was looking on Morphmarket for the leucistic you were holding earlier. Is that one for sale? That one is not for sale. That one has a kink in its neck. Has a tiny little kink. Decided not to sell it. Decided not to breed it. Decided just to use it as kind of as a YouTube snake. So yeah, I hate to sell it because it's just a pet. One guy said he offered to rescue it and wanted to bring it to a rescue, and I thought I might as well just keep it here. It's a really cool snake. So yeah, so the genetics on that one was bamboo and lesser, which makes the all-white snake. It could have calico in it, but you wouldn't know unless you did shed testing. So I do plan on doing shed testing on that one, which is interesting. I think that one's 100% het desert ghost too. That one is Cypher. Let's see, I'm sure I have it on my list here. I think I put all of them on my list. Cypher, 100% het desert ghost. Kinked bamboo lesser, possible calico, het desert ghost male. That's that one. Yeah, it's in my spreadsheet. And it's eating frozen thawed. Not that I'm going to sell it. House of Pythons, watching from the Philippines. Awesome. Yeah, not many people watch from the Philippines. Some do. I can actually go into my stats on YouTube, and there's people watching from all around the world, like even in Russia and Ukraine, all over the place. It's pretty wild to see all the stats, but it's usually like, just a few people here and there in all the different countries that actually watch. I think Philippines is one of the more popular countries, other than, I think most people are in the US, and then Canada, and I think it's the UK and South Africa. I think, and some of the African nations over there. And then maybe Philippines is after that. So if you look into the stats, they're kind of down on the list. Not too popular, but yeah, it's pretty awesome. You kind of get a worldwide audience over here on YouTube where people are just watching. I think there's like people in every single country that actually watch my channel, which is pretty wild. Let's see, the Snake Shack. We saw one of your videos regarding the blackhead and the death thread with the spider. It can help reduce the wobble. Yes. So if you breed a blackhead to a spider, 25% of the time you get a blackhead spider. 25% of the time you get a spider that can have a wobble. 25% of the time you can get a blackhead. 25% of the time you get a normal too, right? So when you do hit it, the spider and the blackhead, the blackhead will actually mask the wobble on the spider. And it was interesting because for the longest time, I was seeing all these blackhead spiders that didn't look like a spider. Pretty much eliminated all the spider pattern on all the spiders. But I was actually looking over there in one of my recent videos over on Morphmarket, and I did find a spider blackhead that actually looked like a spider, which is pretty interesting. But the problem is trying to reproduce that. So if you bred a spider blackhead to something else, it's not actually an allelic combination. So you get 50% spiders, 50% blackheads. Kind of hard to reproduce it. That's the problem with the spider and the blackhead. So you wouldn't actually reproduce it if you bred it to something else, unless you bred it to like either a spider or a blackhead. So yeah, so the only way you could, yeah, you couldn't even do supers. You could do like a super blackhead bred to a super spider and produce all blackhead spiders, but the problem is the super spider is a lethal combination, so you couldn't even do that to produce a whole clutch of blackhead spiders. So yeah, it's kind of an interesting project. It's the only gene that I know of that completely eliminates the wobble of the spider if you had blackhead on top of it. All right, how bad is the odds of a severe wobble for an 8-ball? Aiming for an 8-ball hypo clown. Yeah, so the 8-ball is the, I believe that is the super black pastel, right? Some people call the super cinnamon the 8-ball, but I think the technical super black pastel is the 8-ball. So it gets a little bit confusing because both genes basically produce the same thing, the cinnamon and the black pastel. Let's see. Let's see, if I go over here and look at 8-ball on Morphmarket, look at availability, any, genes and traits, no additional traits. Let's see what we get. Ah, here's an 8-ball black pastel cinnamon 8-ball. Black pastel cinnamon. Yeah. Cinnamon, black pastel. So yeah, so I think that's what they consider the true 8-ball, but you can actually do the super black pastel or the super cinnamon too. Some people consider the 8-ball. So that's kind of interesting too. Yeah, but the odds of getting a wobble, I would say with the 8-ball, probably less than a spider. Probably more than I'd say it's probably up there with like super spot nose, the Powerball. Yeah. So there is a chance for wobble. But the other thing, if you make an 8-ball, there's also a chance of kinking, which is specific to the black pastel and the cinnamon. You can also get duck billing. Usually the head and the mouth of the super cinnamon, the super black pastel, and the 8-ball, which is the cinnamon black pastel, Usually that carries more of a risk for the duck billing, the kind of the different shape of a head and the kinking in the spine that you don't actually see on, you know, like the spiders and the spot nose and stuff like that. So yeah, there are risks on that one. It's pretty cool project, but there are risks in that one. Oh wow, crazy calculations. Yeah, sometimes you just gotta jump on Morphmarket and do those calculations. Doing it directly from RGI. Interesting. Hey everyone, what's up? Brittany's Life. Could you do a blackhead spider to a super blackhead? Yeah, you could do that, I guess. Yeah, you could do that. So then you would get blackhead spiders and super blackheads. Yeah. There you go. There's always a way around it. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, that way you wouldn't get any plain spiders. Huh. Good point, good point. All right, House of Python. Speaking of lethal combinations, I'm also planning to hold back a spot nose only for that Powerball project. I know it's lethal, but I've seen a Powerball that survived. Yeah, actually, as far as I know, the Powerball is not lethal, as far as I know. So it's a chance of severe wobble, but I don't believe it's a lethal combination. So as a matter of fact, if you go over to Morphmarket, I think a lot of Powerballs have been made. Let me take a look here. Powerball. Wait a minute. We've got some glitches here. Well, there's 16 Powerballs that are for sale or that have sold. Availability any. So yeah, I would say it's not a lethal combination. Maybe, I know on some of those they say it's not a lethal combination, but a lot of times they say they have problems hatching or deformities in the egg. Something like that. But yeah, usually a lethal combination, you'll go over to Morphmarket and you won't see any over there as for a true lethal combination. So it could be that they just have a problem developing or hatching. All right, Snake Shack, thank you so much for answering our question. We watch and learn so much from you, and we just wanted to thank you for everything you do with the reptile community. My pleasure. Yeah, got to keep the ball python industry going. Someone's got to do it. Yeah, there's just it's a pretty amazing business, the whole ball python thing, with all the different genes, the new genes coming out, and you know, the friendly snakes, getting other people into the ball python projects. It's pretty fun. Let's see. Powerball next season, yeah. So yeah, go for the Powerballs. I would do it for sure. All right, clowning around pythons. I just got done cleaning my incubator. I have 3 girls that are developing eggs, one of which I could end up making acid lace Batmans. Nice. That sounds like a really awesome combination. An acid lace Batman. Yeah, one of the genes I've been wanting to get into is either the acid, the confusion, or the static. A lot of people think they're basically the same thing. We'll get into that. And then the leopard, I've been wanting to get into that. The GHI, some of the dark genes, the genes that kind of shattered the pattern. Probably do some yellow belly and asphalt for some highways and freeways. That's kind of the stuff I'm thinking about getting into. I was thinking about tri-stripe for a while. I don't think I'll probably get into any tri-stripe. Might do some het puzzle stuff. Maybe kind of play around with some puzzle stuff. I was thinking about maybe picking up 2 snakes this year. I haven't decided. I might just make a list of all the genes that I'm interested in. Try to pick up some 5 or 6 gene combos, male and a female with some of those genes in it, to see what I can get. Do I want to get into Jaguar? Let's see, Jaguar. I think the Jaguars are really expensive. I think that's a new gene. Jaguar. Let's see what the Jaguars are going for. Let's see. Jaguar 2000, 2300. Here's one for 600 bucks. Oh, wow. Yeah, over here on Morphmarket, there's only 5 Jaguars. 5 Jaguars. Yeah, so yeah, I kind of really don't get into projects unless there's like, you know, been 30 or 40, you know, different combinations made where I can really see the potential of some of those genes. Because some of those genes, you know, they'll come out and then people will kind of hype them up, and then, you know, later they'll find out that it really doesn't make any really impressive combos or that much of an effect, and then a lot of genes will just die and no one will pick them up, and then people will move on to other things. So yeah, so I kind of want to see more potential from the Jaguar. I haven't done a video on it. I haven't really researched it, so it'll be interesting to do some research on it. Puzzle Desert Ghost. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, Powerballs are cool. We got to bring some enhanced excitement back into the Powerball combos and the Champagne, Mimosa, Champagne, and Inchy before they get banned. Yeah, Champagne. Yeah, I've seen some really bad Champagnes. Champagne's kind of up there with Spider. You can't make a super Champagne because it's a lethal combination. Can't breed a Champagne with a Spider or a Woma or Hidden Gene Woma. But there's some pretty cool stuff you can do with Champagne. So I remember when I first started, Champagnes were really super expensive. It was kind of like the monsoons were when I first started. But they've come down a lot. They were Champagnes, I think Champagnes were like at least $2,500 to get into when I started Ball Pythons. And I was thinking, you know, I don't really know a lot about Champagnes. I had no clue they were had a problem with the wobble or anything, and that's why you kind of have to kind of let them play out. And once they breed them into other genes, then you find out, you know, Champagne is actually in the Spider complex, which I don't know if a lot of people knew, like right from the beginning. Like when these genes come out, they don't know if it's in the Spider complex, the 8-ball complex, the blue-eyed leucistic, or the black-eyed leucistic complex, or the yellow belly complex. You know, a lot of people just don't know what it's allelic with, and all the interactions and all the problems with a lot of these genes. So it's kind of interesting to watch them develop and kind of work out all the combinations and the allelic potential of a lot of the genes. All right, yeah, I'm working with Desert Ghost Puzzle, 2 years in. Nice. Yeah, it takes a while. It takes a while. It usually takes at least 2 to 3 years before you get your first eggs. Sometimes longer, sometimes 4 or 5 years. Let's see. Gray Matter project. Yeah, Gray Matter is pretty awesome. I do love the Gray Matters. What's some cool stuff I could pair with the GHI Mojave, Orange Dream, Yellow Belly? Good question. That's a pretty awesome snake. GHI is a dark gene. Mojave is in the blue-eyed leucistic complex. So you can make blue-eyed leucistics with the Mojave. You can mix it in with any of the genes from the blue-eyed leucistic, like the bamboo, the Russo, the butter, the lesser, the mocha, all those genes. Orange Dream, Yellow Belly. Those are brightening genes, so you could work it in with other brightening genes. The Yellow Belly you could mix in with the asphalt or the highway, the asphalt or the gravel. So the asphalt, let's see, you could probably do, what would be interesting if you actually took an asphalt with a bunch of other genes and bred it into that snake, and then you could get the freeways. So you could make like a GHI, Mojave, Orange Dream, Yellow Belly. Well, the Yellow Belly is part of the freeway. But if you can actually work other genes into that project, maybe like 2 or 3 other genes with an asphalt in there, you could make some crazy looking freeways. That's probably what I would do with that project. Maybe do something with asphalt and then another gene from the blue-eyed leucistic, and then you could make some all-white snakes, and then you could make some freeways on top of that, which would be pretty awesome. Maybe add some more brightening genes for the Orange Dream, Yellow Belly. But if you had Orange Dream, Yellow Belly, I'd probably add pastel for sure. So I'd pick up a snake that had something like asphalt, pastel, maybe lesser, something like that. You can make with the lesser, you can make the all white snakes. With the pastel, if you actually work pastel into your freeways with the yellow belly and the asphalt, really makes a huge difference if you have pastel in there. You can make some really crazy combinations. So you can do a lot of stuff with that snake. All right, let's see. Teddy Robia, what's up? My niece and nephew, Penelope and Noah, are tuned in, loving the new content. Yeah, we've been going for 2 hours and 34 minutes. 37 people on the live. All right. Let's see, my boy Val, White Feathers Balls, does some incredible champagne stuff. I don't like the look of champagne unless he made it. Yeah, that's kind of what champagne is. Champagne is like, if you mix it with almost anything, you get like a patternless snake that's just a slightly different color. You get like a solid orange snake or, you know, a solid yellow snake. But with certain combinations, you can make some really crazy champagne combinations, which is pretty amazing. You just have to know the right genes to mix with champagne. All right, I'm shooting for some Orange Dream Hypo puzzles. Nice. That is pretty awesome. That would be nice. I plan on adding Blackhead, Red Stripe, and Hurricane. Nice. That's pretty sweet. All right, so I shed tested a Het Desert Ghost puzzle clutch. Ended up with 2 double Het clown puzzles. Wow. I have no idea where the clown came from. Interesting. Yeah, that is interesting. So yeah, so if you got clown in your clutches with your offspring, then that clown came from one of your parents. So you probably want to test your parents too. I'm actually going through all my snakes right now, and I'm shed testing everything for all the genes that Rare Genetics can actually test for, just to see if there's anything kind of floating around in my collection. Because everything I bought, basically almost all of it, I'd say, is from other breeders, and you never know what's floating around like hets or something like that. I've never tested any of it. So yeah, I'm hoping to have some like cryptic or maybe some axanthic or something kind of floating around. That'd be really awesome if I had some random like puzzles, or there's so many hets that you never know. And a lot of times you don't breed the offspring together, you just randomly breed other snakes together. So a lot of times you wouldn't even know if it was in there. All right, House of Pythons. I have a problem identifying the Mandarin for my boy. The code noms are Orange Dream, Fire, Chocolate, Mandarin. The Fire in Orange Dreams takes over the physical expression. Yeah, so yeah, I don't know if you can actually test for Mandarin, because I know I don't know if I did a video on Mandarin specifically, but I do know that if you have Fire and Orange Dream on top of it, it can actually completely cover the Mandarin. I have seen that before. Let's see, genetic testing. Let's see. I don't see Mandarin. Let's see. I'm going to go over here to Rare Genetics, see if they have anything like that. No Mandarin. I know they're working on more tests over there at Rare Genetics, so maybe at some time in the future they'll have Mandarin. I watch Val on TikTok. He stays on there. Brenham, one of my normal females, crossing finger to have that Mandarin separated. Yeah, that'd be interesting. Yeah, that's why it's always good to have a normal female to kind of tease stuff out. A lot of times if you have something in one of your, so say if you had like a 6-gene animal and you wanted to like tease one gene out that you didn't want breeding, like you didn't want a certain gene in your product, in your Ball Python project, what you could actually do is take that animal, breed it to a normal. Hopefully you'll get a 5-gene animal that actually has that one gene taken out. And that's a good way to kind of remove one gene from your project when you kind of, you know, sometimes you'll have like, for example, I was actually doing a video on like the most genes in a snake, trying to work the most genes possible into 2 snakes. Well, there was like fire in both of the snakes and there was yellow belly in both of the snakes. So like 50% of the time you're gonna get an all-white snake. So you can actually take those snakes, breed them to normals, and then tease out the yellow belly and the fire in one of the snakes. That way you wouldn't make the all-white snakes and you still have a lot of combinations that you can actually get from, from the snakes. So that's one way to do it. RGI don't have Mandarin yet, sad to say. Sad to say. All right, so we've been going for 2 hours, 39 minutes, and I think I'm gonna wrap it up, eat some dinner, and do some laundry. So that was the live stream today. I think I'm gonna see if I can spin out some shorts from this, see if StreamYard will actually spin out some shorts from it, but we will see how those shorts come out. And then Monday, hopefully, if I'm feeling okay, I want to do the Lilac combination video. Maybe Monday or Tuesday, I don't know, so we'll see. But I want to go through all the allelic combinations in ball pythons, which is a lot. I've been working on it, and I have some bunch of spreadsheets, and kind of want to show you some of the more common combinations that you see with allelic combinations, kind of explain what an allelic is compared to a super. So that should be an interesting video. So I'm gonna wrap it up here. Maybe we got a couple more comments. Personally feel like if you're going for low pattern pies, you might as well go for a Lucy. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Some people like pies with just a little pattern. Well, the head stamp on a baby ball changes as they get older. I'm not sure about that. So I would think the head stamps would pretty much stay as they are as they get older, because I've seen head stamps on young snakes and old snakes, and it seems like the head stamps don't really change that much as far as what I've seen. So that's pretty much it. I'm going to, let's see, get ready to wrap up the show. I'm having so many glitches with this computer. I think my visual screen size changed because I can't see everything on my screen. I think my screen resolution changed. I can't even send an email. I'm like, what? I can't even see the send button anymore. So I guess that's pretty much it. I'm gonna end it here, and I'll see you next Saturday for the live stream. I'll probably do it again at 2 o'clock, and I'll see how many videos I can crank out this week. Maybe 4 or 5. So I will see you in the live stream and in the videos this week. Take care, and thanks for watching.